Nick Ashew here with the DMV.
Has concluded.
The DMVSTREAM.COM player.
Sean Parker along with Nick Allison.
I always wanted to play volleyball in college.
Cordova trying to dig it out of the board. And they score! Hello and welcome into another edition of the Prep Zone on DMVSTREAM.com. I'm Jeremy Huber in with you this week, back with our regulars Derek Kramer and Brenton Randolph. And of course, folks, such a great time when it comes to the DMV and high school football. You got playoffs ongoing in Virginia and Maryland, also the private schools as well. Lots to talk about on the show today as we recap that big rivalry game between Woodbury Forest and Episcopal. Also another IAC rivalry matchup between Bullis and Georgetown Prep. Also a Virginia playoff matchup between Hayfield and Patriot. Also on our recaps today, another Virginia playoff matchup between West Potomac and TC Williams, and a big game in Maryland in their playoffs as Annapolis took on North Point. Also on the show today, we preview the huge one, the WCAC championship game between DeMatha and St. John's. Also a big playoff matchup in Virginia as Centerville takes on South Lakes. We'll also preview a big one in Maryland as Richard Montgomery takes on Quince Orchard. Of course, plenty of ways to watch the show. You see them on your screen right there. Lots of ways to get the Prep Zone on DMVStream.com and other outlets as well. Your best place to find out what's going on in the world of DMV high school sports. So lots coming up on the show. But first, we start with taking a look at how you can get your play included each week on All Met Sports Top Plays.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to an all-new season of Top Plays here at AllMetSports.com and WashingtonPost.com. I'm your host, BJ Kubarulis. Now, as we've done the past 4 seasons, we're continuing our exciting interactive high school football show that allows you, the coaches, players, parents, and fans, and others, to send in your video submissions for ranking in our Top 10 style weekly show. If you want to see your highlight in this show, well, it's as simple as tweeting your boy. I'm at BJ Koob, and you got to remember to hashtag it, Ole Mets. All right, you can tweet in your Huddle, YouTube, Vimeo, really any video link by Sundays at noon, and we'll consider it for use in the upcoming episode of Top Plays. Now, you got to remember to tune in on Mondays to see if your video made our Top 10 at allmetsports.com. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back into the Prep Zone. Now time for the Weekend Rewind, where we take a look back at some of the biggest games of last week. And we start, Brenton, with a matchup that really goes back a century even. It's a huge rivalry matchup between Episcopal and Woodbury Forest.
That's right, Jeremy. Episcopal and Woodbury Forest, it's one of the longest standing rivalries in high school football. Like you said, they've been playing for well over 100 years. And this was their coach, Clint Alexander's final game. And Woodbury Forest really came out to play in this one. They got up to an early lead. Their defense was just on fire. They really didn't let Episcopal get anything going until late in the game. And they were incredible. They did everything they possibly could to win this game because they wanted to go out on top for their coach, Clint Alexander. And one of the guys who had been playing well all season and had another big game for them was their quarterback, Lindell Stone. And Stone, who has been lighting it up all season, just lit up Episcopal again for a bunch of deep plays and a couple of touchdowns. So he was huge in this game, and Woodbury Forest was able to come out on top over their rival Episcopal 34-21.
Yeah, of course, Stone, the UVA commit, leading the way. Episcopal was gunning for an undefeated season, unable to get it as their rival knocks them off. Your top performer in the game, Brenton?
Right, my top performer, of course, is going to be Lindell Stone. He had 208 yards passing, couple of rushing touchdowns and the passing touchdown. So the UVA commit is somebody that has been lighting it up, and he could possibly help the Cavaliers, get back on track in college too.
A big one for Stone, of course, against the local school. Episcopal was hurt as a sophomore in that game at home, ended up getting a little bit of revenge this time around. Well, 2 more private schools facing off. In fact, from Episcopal's conference, the IAC, as Bullis and Georgetown Prep wrapped up their seasons, Derek.
Yeah, like you said, this was a battle between 2 rivals in the IAC, but this really came down to the 2 of the top running backs in the IAC. Here we see Devin Harrington, who really led the team with 37 attempts for 157 yards. And you see quarterback Tucker Strachan get in there for the QB sneak. And the other really big impact player of the game was sophomore linebacker and receiver Bryson Shaw, who had a big catch, and he has his interception here that were the really two big plays that really sealed the deal for Bullis. But what really came down to was the battle on the running game. Owen Wright, he had his touchdown, but I give Bullis a lot of credit. They stopped him for the most part on that side of the ball, but Devin Harrington got the best of it. They really chewed time on the clock, 37 attempts for 157 yards, like I said. They really took the time of possession, kept Georgetown off the field on offense, and as you see, 14-7, low-scoring game, ground and pound, and that was the way it worked out.
Yeah, Bullis, of course. A little bit of a disappointing season for the Bulldogs, but a good way for them to wrap it up. Georgetown Prep, on the other hand, really had some good things going after that close loss to Gonzaga earlier in the season, but a few late season losses against Episcopal and Bullis kind of putting a bit of a damper on what the Hoyas did this year. Well, Derek, your player, your top performer in this game.
Yeah, it was Devin Darrington. They really had him at the cowbell up for the game, 37 attempts, 157 yards. They really leaned on him to take it home, and he delivered.
Yeah, Darrington again helping Bullis to that season-closing win as Bullis beats Georgetown Prep. Well, another game of our weekend rewind. We head over to Virginia in a public school matchup, an 8 versus 9 contest in the 6A North playoffs. As Brennan, it was Hayfield taking on Patriot.
That's right, Hayfield and Patriot, and this was a thriller of a game that came down to the very last play. And Hayfield is a team that's normally known for their passing attack, but this time around they had to get it done on the ground, and Jacob Keeney came up with 2 huge runs in their final drive of the fourth quarter. One of them was to convert on 4th and 10 and keep their drive alive. The other one was to score the game-winning touchdown with less than 2 minutes left. Another player that had a big game for Hayfield running the football was their running back, Kylan Booker. Booker had over 180 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns, and he was the guy that kept Hayfield on track as they were struggling a little bit throughout the second and third quarter. They had 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, and a fumble, and they also gave up 2 onside kick recoveries. So they were struggling a little bit, but he kept them on track, and on the last play of the game, Patriot had a chance to win it, but Patrick Bentley fumbled it, and the Hawks were right there to recover it. And that would be the winner as Hayfield escaped 30-26.
Yeah, big defensive play there by Hayfield to go ahead and clinch up the win. Your top performer in that one, Brenton?
Right, my top performer is going to be their running back, Kylan Booker. Had 180 yards and 3 touchdowns. Without him, Hayfield might not have been in position to be able to win this game.
Hayfield getting the win over Prince William County opponent Patriot. They move on to take on top seed Lake Braddock in the next round of the 6A North playoffs in Virginia. Should be an interesting one in that one. Eric Henderson, of course, formerly over at Lake Braddock. Should be a fun one between the Hawks and the Bruins. Well, let's go ahead and take a break, but let's go ahead first and take a look at DMVSTREAM.com's broadcast of National Signing Day from DeMatha as 3 of their seniors committed to play college basketball.
Here at DeMatha Catholic High School, Bob Trossett alongside my buddy Marcus Helton of DMV Elite. We are super fired up to be here. College basketball season is right around the corner, and 3 young men really have a chance to shine today.
Yeah, days like this are always fun, getting to see these guys move on to the next level, and they're joining a very, very long list of DeMatha guys who have moved on to play at the college level and beyond.
And we chatted about that before. There's 17 DeMatha grads who went on and currently or used to play in the NBA. What an incredible stat. You know, you think about Oak Hill, you think about DeMatha, they're right in line. What does this school mean to you?
It's fun. I mean, everyone, when they think of this area, when they think of basketball, DeMatha is one of the names that always comes to mind immediately. And, you know, for good reason. There are 17 guys in the NBA. They're going to have maybe another one joining them very, very shortly. Markel Fultz, who was here last year, is at Washington now. I mean, it's success. When people think of DeMatha, they think of success.
A couple times. And let's get right into these guys. Let's start off with DJ Harvey. He's headed to the University of Notre Dame. He joins a long cast of guys formerly who played there at Notre Dame. What do you expect from him going into this year?
DJ's a guy who's highly touted coming in, and he's lived up to that. I mean, he was the first freshman to start here since Adrian Dantley in 1969, 1970, so it's been a long, long time. And, there haven't been a large number of freshmen who've been able to come to this program and play right away.
We're back with you on the Prep Zone as we continue the weekend rewind, and we head back to Virginia and an old Patriot District matchup, Derek, as it was West Potomac taking on T.C. Williams.
Yeah, so this was a dominant performance by the Wolverines. They finished without their starting quarterback here, Mark Ellis, who, after throwing this touchdown pass, he took a hard hit after the next drive, and he left the game with concussion-like symptoms. So backup quarterback Tanner Jones, came in. He fumbled on the first play, but after that, he was running and gunning, and he led the Wolverines to a great second half and really opened up the game. But I give TC credit on the run game. Tyrese Randall was the one spark that led TC down the field. They unfortunately did not get to capitalize as they had multiple fumbles that the Wolverines made sure it happened against the Titans. But the biggest play of the game right here was from DeJon Belfield, who blocked the punts and had the Wolverines up 2 scores over the Titans. And it was just a great defensive team by the Wolverines, led by their senior linebacker, and it was a great game for the Wolverines.
Yeah, the West Potomac coming through, defense kind of picking up the slack with Ellis being out of the game. Of course, kind of known more for their offense, and TC, a rugged team, they find that out, but West Potomac still able to go ahead and get the win. Derek, your top performer from the game?
Yeah, you see his stats don't pop off the screen, but DeJon Belfield was all over the place. He was the leader of the team, pumping up his teammates all on the sidelines, and I give him a lot of credit for getting the Wolverines ready. And they have a tough matchup against Madison next week, and I think they'll give them a really big challenge. Yeah,
West Potomac, though, already with some tough challengers in their own conference games against Lake Braddock, South County, so they should be ready to take on a Madison team, again, the number 2 seed in the 6A North playoffs. Let's go ahead and look at our final game of the weekend rewind. It's over in Maryland, and Brenton, it was Annapolis, kind of a little bit of a Cinderella story, despite being the 2nd seed in their region. They took on North Point.
That's right. Annapolis has been having a really good season. They've only got 1 loss on the year. North Point's been having a really good season too, and it was really close through 3 quarters, and you can see their quarterback, Justin Williams, had a big game, got a touchdown run rushing, and he also had a touchdown. Well, he had a big-time game passing the ball as well. So he was somebody that was playing very well for the Panthers. North Point tried to respond with a deep pass of their own, but Trey Gross was able to come up with the interception, and they forced a couple of turnovers on the game. So they played well both offensively and defensively. Justin Williams, again, going to come up with another deep pass for the Panthers as their offense was just rolling throughout the game. And as the game got into the later stages, they were able to be very effective running the football, led, of course, by their running back, Cameron Hugh, who had 212 rushing yards as well as 3 touchdowns to put an exclamation point on the victory. And Annapolis's theme for the season is hit or be hit. They did the hitting in this one as they were able to pull away with a 45-21 victory.
Yeah, and a huge win for Annapolis. It was their first playoff game at home in a long time, I believe 10 years or more. And of course, they get another home game, surprisingly, as Broadneck pulling the upset on Old Mill for a 2nd straight year. So the Panthers will have a home game as they look to move on in the 4A playoffs in Maryland. Well, Brenton, your top performer, I think we know who it is.
Right, yeah, it's going to be Cameron Hugh. He had 212 yards rushing, over 10 yards per carry. He had 3 touchdowns rushing, but he also had a touchdown defensively with a fumble recovery. So when you get it done on both sides of the ball, you deserve to be player of the game.
Little Panther pride there for Cameron Hugh and his team as they move on in the 4A playoffs. Well, let's stay with high school football, and we take a look behind the scenes of DMVSTREAM.com's broadcast of Gonzaga versus Good Counsel football live on the Washington Post Sports Facebook page.
right there. He froze that linebacker in the hole with a subtle dent. Both teams in this ball game lean on both their tailbacks. It hasn't really been a perimeter game. You can see right here on a replay, making a move right there in the hole, getting outside, beating the in-man on line of scrimmage on his way for the touchdown.
Yeah, great determination there. I thought he was going to be forced out just short, but stretched that ball across.
We continue on the Prep Zone on DMVSTREAM.com. Jeremy, Brenton, and Derek with you. We start with our AllMetSports.com weekly fast forward. And we start off, folks, with a very, very good matchup. Oh, so much talent on the field this weekend at the University of Maryland, Brenton, as it will be DeMatha versus St. John's in the WCAC championship game.
That's right, Jeremy. Like you said, a bunch of big-time talent all across the board, a whole lot of D1 players and prospects out there. For DeMatha, they will be going for their 4th straight WCAC championship. And for St. John's, they're going to be looking for their first WCAC championship in a long time, since 2000. And these two teams played each other earlier in the season. That game resulted in a close 14-13 victory for DeMatha, and it's only fitting that they would have to play St. John's again, their toughest test in the regular season, to win the WCAC championship and keep their perfect season alive. And I expect them to do everything they possibly can to do that with their running back Corey Spruill and their quarterback Bo English, who both of whom have been having great seasons so far. And also expect St. John's to be very hungry in this one and try and get some revenge after coming so close in the last game. They'll definitely want to try and get the job done this time around.
And of course, the last time, folks, it was a key stop. St. John's going for 2 late in the game. DeMatha made the stop, and that was really the difference in the game. Of course, you saw the interception that iced it for DeMatha, but that play was the big one for the Stags to get the win and keep their unbeaten season going, at least so far. But St. John's will have something to say about that coming up this weekend. Well, Brenton, let's go ahead and take a look at your players to watch. First for St. John's.
Right, for St. John's, we're going to be going with their running back, Joakim Bangda. Bangda's averaging over 10 yards per carry, so if he can be anywhere close to that effective against a defense as tough as DeMatha's, then that'll put St. John's in a really good position to win.
And of course, we stay for DeMatha in the backfield for our other player to watch, and I think this one is another pretty good running back.
That's right. DeMatha's running back, Corey Spruill, has been having a great season himself. He's close to 1,000 yards. He's got 831 yards with 8 touchdowns, and he's somebody that comes up with the big games when DeMatha really needs him. If he comes up with one more, they'll come away with the championship.
Of course, Spruill coming in for Anthony McFarland, injured early in the season, able to really take over that spot and get, of course, DeMatha, their offense under Elijah Brooks, always kind of run-based and doing a good job there. Of course, these two teams met in the championship 2 years ago. That one, a win by DeMatha, a little more evenly matched this time. Let's go ahead and take a look at our picks, and I think we're pretty unanimous across the board. Yep. I'm going DeMatha. How about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with DeMatha too. They've been playing too well for too long, and I expect them to stay hungry in this one and pull it out.
And I think this one's going to come to a battle in the trenches between DeMatha's terrific offensive line and St. John's very stout defensive line, but I'm going to go with DeMatha as well.
Yeah, DeMatha, again, don't think they're going to let this perfect season go away. That's the one thing they haven't done in this run of 3 straight WCACs, have a perfect campaign. It's been a while The Stags would love to do it. I think they're going to go ahead and get the job done. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the second game of our weekly Fast Forward. That one, a public school matchup in Virginia, as it'll be, of course, previous state champion Centerville. They'll take on South Lakes. Derek, of course, get us up to speed on this one.
Yeah, so both teams are coming off huge 50-point wins against their teams in the first rounds. We've got Centerville, who just came off a 57-0 win over Mount Vernon, led by their quarterback and Jameer Seiler and their wide receiver Isaiah Culver, both that have hooked up many times. We're going to see a great leaping catch by Isaiah Culver here where he stretches out for the touchdown. I look for him to have a big game if they're going to have a shot at winning this game. I think head coach Chris Haddock is going to really have his team ready to go. They had a little bit of disappointing season after the state championship, but look at this catch by Isaiah Culver, using his feet to actually catch the ball. Now, the referee said it wasn't incomplete, but when you get the instant replay, it looked pretty close. But on the other side, South Lakes, they're 10-1 this season. 10-1 this season, having a terrific season. They just defeated Oakton 54-14, and they've got a dynamic duo of junior running backs between Spencer Alston and Albert Mensa. Alston had 9 carries for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns against Oakton, and I look for those two juniors to really be a big-time factor in this game.
Yeah, it should be an interesting one in this contest. Of course, as you mentioned, Derek, South Lakes, that only loss of the year coming to conference foe Hayfield. Of course, Centerville, the big feather in their cap. They're the only team to be top seed in 6A North. That would be Lake Braddock. That stunning win by them. A fake punt or a block punt, a couple things in there went Centerville's way. We'll see if it can happen again this week. Well, Derek, let's look at our players to watch, starting with Centerville.
You know, on Centerville, it's got to be their running back, Julian Garrett. He had 2 touchdowns against Mount Vernon, and he's had a very solid season this year. I look for him. He's a two-way player, running back and linebacker. If he can have a strong game, I think he can really lead his team to victory. And,
of course, in Chris Haddock's wing T offense, always big. Those running backs have to come up large. Well, let's go over who's your player to watch for South Lakes.
Yeah, so this is a toss-up between either of the junior running backs, but Albert Mensa, he's got 19 rushing touchdowns, almost 1,000 yards. I think if he can really explode out of the backfield, I think he can really do great things and lead South Lakes to having a big-time offensive performance against Centerville.
Let's look at our picks in this one. And coming through, you know, I know Centerville, they won the state championship in 2013. They came close in 2014. But I tell you what, it's been a long time since South Lakes has been this good. I think the hunger is there. I think they're able to pull this one out. Brenton, how about you?
Right, I'm going to have to go ahead and agree with you on that one. South Lakes also has a very fast-paced offense, and I think if they're able to get ahead early in this game, it could be tough for Centerville to play catch-up. So I expect South Lakes to win.
Derek?
Well, I'm going to be the odd man out and pick Centerville. I think they're a very stout team. When the going gets tough, they always come out and perform big-time games. So I look for Centerville to really have a stout defense and get their running game going. I think they'll come out with the victory.
Should be interesting, folks, as the 4 games in 6A North, all different teams from different conferences, so no kind of repeat matchups there. Of course, there are a few like Westfield, South County, but they play during the season, but no conference rematches. Should be interesting to see how they all shake out. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at DMVSTREAM.com's broadcast of Midnight Madness from Georgetown University live on the Washington Post Sports Facebook page.
Today, we're at McDonough Arena on the campus of Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., where we're tasked with broadcasting the basketball team's Midnight Madness event live to our client's Facebook page at the Washington Post. Now, considering that this venue is not truck-friendly, we've instead rolled out our Fly Pack kit for this event. Our Fly Pack allows us to produce a multi-camera stream live to the web by marrying together a series of state-of-the-art products and production tools for one easy setup. Now, we've built out our kit and run 4 independent camera angles back to our NewTek TriCaster. Our director is then producing a live show for the viewers at home. We've also tapped into the in-house network, the internet, which allows our director to pull in live graphics from an independent graphics operator who's working on his own system and feeding graphics across that network. Now, even though you can stream directly out of TriCaster, we've opted instead to pull an independent feed directly into an independent encoder called the Teradek VidiU. This great product simply allows you to take an HDMI feed and you can encode that broadcast separately directly to the client's platform, which today is the Washington Post Facebook page. We've run our own audio back from our staging area where our talent is telling the story for the viewers at home. We've also pulled an audio feed from the in-house PA so we can switch over to the in-house DJ whenever we want to send that audio to our viewers at home. All right, for more great videos like these and to learn more about how to broadcast your event, go to DMVSTREAM.com.
Welcome back into the Prep Zone, and it's our third game of the weekly Fast Forward, and this one is in Maryland. And Brenton, it's an interesting matchup between kind of upstart Richard Montgomery and traditional power Quince Orchard.
That's right. This is going to be a big-time matchup for both of these teams. They're both 10-1 coming into this game, and Richard Montgomery is coming off of a huge playoff victory over Northwest High School. Northwest was the only team to beat the Rockets in the regular season, and when you talk about Richard Montgomery and the Rockets, you've got to talk about their running back, Ty Hebron. Hebron has been having a phenomenal season so far this year. He's got over 2,000 yards rushing. He's got 28 touchdowns. And when he gets into the open field, you can just forget about it because that man is gone. So he's somebody that Quince Orchard will certainly have to look out for. And on the other hand, for the Cougars, they have, since their season opening loss to Damascus, they've won 10 straight. And they've been dominant in most of those games thanks to their running back Marvin Binder and their quarterback Doc Bonner. Bonner can make any throw that's in the book. He's got a cannon of an arm, so he's somebody that Richard Montgomery will have to look out for in this game, and he'll be somebody that they'll have to contain if they want to be able to come out with this victory.
Let's go ahead and get those players to watch. I believe you covered them both, but let's start with Richard Montgomery.
Right, with Richard Montgomery, we're going to go with Ty Hebron. You see those numbers. He's averaging over 9 yards a carry, and he's second in the area in touchdowns as well as yards. He's somebody that's been having a big game every single game for them this season, and he'll need another one if they're going to beat Quince Orchard.
And for Quince Orchard, their player to watch, Marvin Biander.
Right, Marvin Biander is someone who is also very good at running back. He's the Temple commit. He's got 15 touchdowns and is averaging almost 8 yards per carry. So if he can get it going, he'll give the Cougars a big-time chance to win this big game.
And of course, the interesting thing in this one, folks, you look at this game, the coaches of these two teams, Richard Montgomery's Josh Klotz, and the defensive Quince Orchard's John Kelly, were the offensive and defensive coordinators at Quince Orchard previously. So these two guys know each other. It should be an interesting game. Quick picks in this one. Let's go ahead and get them down. I went Quince Orchard. Brenton, how about you?
Right, I went with Richard Montgomery. I think Ty Hebron is going to have another huge game in this one, so I think they'll pull it out.
Derek, quickly.
Yeah, this was a tough one, but yeah, I got Quince Orchard.
Yep, should be an interesting one. And this one, these two teams know each other. It should be fun as we see who comes out of that 4A bracket. Well, that's it for the Prep Zone. For Jeremy, for Brenton, and Derek, let's get out of here with the Prep Zone on DMVSTREAM.com.